In 1977, Pepsi and Coke were in a cola war, but instead of fighting for shelf space, Pepsi changed the game, and it saved their whole company. Back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, Coke was king. They had a bigger brand, better distribution, and every fast food spot and restaurant was pouring Coke. Most notably, McDonald's, who already had 4,000 locations by the 70s. Pepsi, on the other hand, was losing market share, brand visibility, and distribution leverage because Coke was literally everywhere. And instead of competing with them, Pepsi did something pretty wild. They started buying entire restaurants. It all started in 1977 when Pepsi buys Pizza Hut, which had around 3,000 locations at the time. A year later, they buy Taco Bell, which had around 900 locations. And by 1986, they purchased KFC that had just under 6,000 locations. See, Pepsi knew they couldn't compete with Coke when it came to partnerships, so instead, they just bought guaranteed market share. By buying thousands of locations, it forced people to drink Pepsi, which gave them brand visibility just by being on a tray. And it gave them bargaining power with other chains because they owned so much of the fast food market. By the early 90s, Pepsi owned over 30,000 restaurants, all serving their products. What's wild is Coke took the complete opposite approach, and they're still the king of soda. Because Coke owned the pipeline, they could make everything cheaper. Instead of owning restaurants, they partnered with hundreds of thousands of stadiums, schools, airlines, and everything in between. It was cheaper, faster, and way easier to scale. Another big caveat is Coke had McDonald's, which was one of their biggest keys to success. And owning other chains could have messed up that partnership. That's why in 1997, Pepsi gave it all up and spun all their fast food chains into one new company called Yum Brands. And even though they no longer own them, those chains all still serve Pepsi because of legacy contracts they made back in the 80s. Buying restaurants didn't just help save Pepsi, it kept them in the fight. It bought them time to grow brands like Frito-Lay, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, and all the snack and drink brands that dominate today. So even though Coke still wins the soda war on raw sales, Pepsi turned a losing battle into a diversified empire that quite literally saved their company.